So this is the structure of a lymph node. A lymph node is an encapsulated organ of the lymphatic system. So in the lymph node, we will have the capsule, which is this outer structure. Then we will have just beneath the cortex, we will have a marginal sinus, which is nothing but a space where the lymphatic fluid will flow. Then we will have the cortex, which is this area, this entire area. So this is your cortex, which will have different types of follicles. Primary follicles, which are the follicles which will be quiescent and they will not be dividing follicles, and these are your secondary follicles. These secondary follicles will have a mantle zone, which is seen here. This is your mantle zone, and the germinal center. And here we will also have long tissues which would divide it into various compartments. That would be your trabeculum. Now these follicles are basically sites of your B cell maturation and localization. So B cells in the lymph nodes are present on the cortex. Now this line over here is the second line over here, this one is your paracortex. Here this is the site of your T cells. Basically T cells in a lymph node, if you have to localize where the T cells are, it is over here in the paracortex. Now here this entire blob is your medullary sinus. Now a medullary sinus is a place which contains your macrophages and efferent communications. So now your lymph node can have many afferents, that is the vessels which will bring in the lymph from various, it can be multiple but only one efferent. Rarely there are more than one efferent. So afferent are the ones which will bring in lymph from various vessels, lymphatic vessels, and efferent ones will take away lymph. So this is your medullary sinus, which will have your reticular cells and macrophages. Now there are certain extensions of this medulla into the cortex and paracortex. Those are called your medullary cords, and these medullary cords contains your plasma cells and lymphocytes. Now we will also have a marginal sinus. So the marginal sinus is also called your subcapsular sinus, which because it lies just beneath the subcapsule, and it also lies between between the capsule and the cortex, and it is there just for the fluid. So all the cells are arranged in, if we summarize it, cortex has follicles, primary, secondary, and those follicles have B cells. Paracortex has T cells. Your medulla is divided into cords and sinus. So the cords will have plasma cells and lymphocytes, and the sinus will have reticular cells and macrophages. So and there will be an artery and vein, of course, like in every organ there is. So this is a histological diagram. Here we can see that this thing, like on the bottommost part, this one is your capsule. The space between the capsule and the cortex is your subcapsular space. And then this thing that I'm highlighting now is your cortex. It has a lot of follicles. Now if you want to see the difference between primary follicles and secondary follicles, this is your primary follicle, which is dark and dense. But if a follicle has a paler colored center, that will be your germinal center and will be your secondary follicle. Now if we see just beneath this, we have, if you can see, just beneath these follicles we will have the bluish areas of T lymphocytes, which is your paracortex, and in the paracortex itself we will have these blood vessels. So we can see here 1, 2, 3. This is also a blood vessel 4. So these 3-4 things that we see are your high endothelial venules. These are specific in the sense that, like in a normal endothelium, we will have closely knit endothelium like this, but in a high endothelial venule the cells will have spaces among them so that the cells can easily flow in and out. So that is the difference. And this one is your medulla. Here we cannot differentiate between cords and sinuses, but if we want to see grossly say, then we can say that this one is your medulla. Here we will not be able to differentiate in this picture between the cords and sinuses, but they are present. So this is the structure of a lymph node. In like gross, like this one was your diagrammatic presentation, and this one was the histology.